Hey guys, it's Ashley, and this is kind of episode 6-ish, or maybe like 5.5. I don't know, but let's just call it episode 6. So this is gonna be a story time. Now, if you haven't watched my last video, it is episode 5 of Back to School Stories. I will link it down below, and you can go ahead and watch that, and then come back to this and watch this, because this is kind of like a continuation of some of the stuff that I talked about in that video. But if you have watched that video, stick around. So this video is a story time about some of the times that I had tornado drills at school. And these are like the real tornado drills. So I have two stories. One from when I was in 1st grade, and one from last year when I was in 6th grade. So we'll just get into my 1st grade one, because that one is kind of more eventful. So in 1st grade, it was like around lunchtime, and the school that I went to, it had 1st, 2nd, and 3rd graders. So I was in 1st grade, and my brother also went to my school. He was in 3rd grade at the time. So it was around lunchtime. I think the 1st graders were out at recess. So I was out at recess, and I think the 2nd graders were at lunch, eating lunch. So then I think we had to go, the 1st graders had to go inside and have inside recess, because it started to rain. So they don't want us outside when it rains. So we went outside. And it was like a gloomy day, so yeah. So I don't know why I remember this, but there's one girl, and she was like, "You better cover your ears because you don't want to get sick," or something like that, because it was raining and cold outside. I don't know why I remember that. Or so then we were inside recess, and then I think the 2nd graders were also in recess, and like I think we were just stopping recess, and I think the 3rd graders were eating lunch. So I think we just got done with recess, and we were starting class, and then we hear like the tornado sirens going off, and then over the announcements, the principal was like, "Okay, you have to go out and take shelter or whatever." Across the street. So the 1st graders, my class, we went on this ramp. So let me try to explain it to you. So when you walk in the front doors of my school, if you go straight ahead, that is where the cafeteria is, where the 3rd graders were eating. But if you turn left, that is where the office is, and then like the library and the art room, stuff like that. So that's to the left, and to the right is there's like a ramp, and then classrooms. So I was on the ramp, so I was like tilting with my head down, and I was a 1st grader, so I was freaking out, because like I didn't want to die. Like I still freak out when there's tornadoes, so I don't want to die. So I was freaking out, and then the 3rd graders had to like leave their trays on their tables and come out, and then I saw my brother, and I grabbed him when he was walking by me, like up the ramp. And I grabbed him. I was like, "Don't leave me. I don't want to be here alone," because I was freaking out, because I wanted to sit with him, because there was this one girl sitting next to me. She got to get up and go sit with her older sister. So I wanted to sit with my older brother, but they wouldn't let me. I wanted to cry so bad. And then to make matters worse, there was this girl sitting across from me, across the ramp, and whenever she freaks out, I know this girl, she rides my bus. Whenever she freaks out, she feels like she's gonna puke, which I feel the same way, but I don't feel like I'm gonna puke. My stomach just hurts, like I get like butterflies or something. So she feels like she's gonna puke, so I don't like puke, so that just makes matters 10 times worse. And then it's bad. And then like if you looked outside, Like, we all were kind of like trying to look outside the front doors, and it was pitch black outside, and it was like around noon, and that's like when the sun's the highest, and it's like the brightest outside. So I was freaking out. But then everything was fine. It must have passed us. So then we just went back into our classroom, well, we didn't really have a regular day. I think what we did was my teacher showed us pictures of like places after a tornado hits or something like that. Oh, she showed us this one story where a tornado came and picked up a train, and like it was found like in the next city. I guess she just wanted to show us that, freak us out a little bit. So that was like, of course, we had tornado drills, but that was like my first real experience with a real one. And I don't think we had a real one until last year in 6th grade. Now, this was like April or May. Like, this was like a couple months ago. Like 4 months ago, something like that. Like, towards the end of the year. So we were like, it was like a day where instead of going to our flex class, we stayed in our homeroom. So I sat at this table with 2 boys across from me and a girl sitting next to me. So it was like gloomy outside, and they were like, "Oh, there's gonna be a tornado today." So they were like saying there's gonna be bad weather, and like whatever they said, there's gonna be bad weather, and it's gloomy outside. Everybody's like, "Oh, there's gonna be a tornado." I'm like, "There's not gonna be a tornado. Stop freaking out." And this girl next to me, she was freaking out. It's like, "Oh my god, my dog's home alone. I don't want my dog to get carried away or something like that." And I was like, "There's not going to be a tornado, guys. Chill out." So then there was something like, it was not that long ago, but I kind of forget. Something about a drill or something going on. I feel like there was a drill. No. But so they were like freaking out, whatever. So then it was time to go to 8th period. So my 8th period is like on the opposite side of the hall. Like if you watch my other videos, it was like if you were in the math or science, you got to you had to go in the hallway. But if you were in the social studies and language arts, you had to stay in the classroom. So I was in science, my 8th period. It was the end of the day. I was like looking at the clock, waiting for it to turn 3:10, trying to get out of that place. And then it was like 2:30, maybe like 2:40, something like that. We hear sirens, and I don't know if we heard the sirens or if just our principal came over the loudspeaker and was like, "You gotta get outside, go in the hallway, get in your tornado safety zone," whatever. So then we had to go out in the hallway, and it was like really fancy out in our school because it was like new. So they had like chairs, so we had to like push the chairs out of the way and get up against the wall. So my class was like against the wall because we were 6th graders and we like, how to explain this? So my 8th period, if you go straight out, there's like a wall right there. So we just like still on that wall. We got down, crouched down, did that thing. And then the other classes went down the hallway, and then the other class went on the opposite wall. And then we had to make room for the 4th and 5th graders because they can't stay upstairs when there's a tornado happening. So they had to come down. So I was sitting there, and I was sitting next to my friend, Lauren. So I was freaking out a little bit because we literally thought there was going to be a tornado. But obviously there wasn't. I'm still here. We literally thought there was going to be a tornado. Like, me and Lauren were praying together. We thought there was going to be a tornado. And then Mr. Schaefer, my science teacher that I had 8th period with that day, he was like on his phone. He had to call his wife. He was like checking the weather, and he was like, "Oh, it's coming this way." Like, it was good information to know, but Mr. Schaefer just, he didn't really tell us that because I was freaking out. Like, I almost started crying because I don't like tornadoes. No. So I think a group of fourth graders or maybe fifth graders were sitting behind us. So whenever we have a tornado drill, you know how like you're crouching down, your butt's up in the air and stuff like that. My friend Gabby, she had a dress on that day. She had a dress on that day. And me and Lauren were just laughing about it. And Mr. Schaefer, he had to put his coat over her. It was hilarious. So, again, the fifth graders were staying behind us. And, like, you know how you have to keep your pants up so you don't show anything. So, like, people behind you don't see anything, so you keep your pants up. So then, when they finally told us you can turn around and, like, sit up, but you have to be quiet. So, that day, I had, like, these boots on. And my grandpa said they look like combat boots. I don't know if I have them. I guess I could go in my closet, but I'm not gonna bring that. So, I had my boots on, and then Lauren, I think she had like her cowboy boots or something like that on. I don't know. And then this little girl sitting across to me, she was like, whispered to the person next to her, "Look at her boots." Girl, first off, yes, look at my boots. They are awesome. Second of all, you need to be quiet because this is a serious situation. I don't exactly want to miss information from Mr. Schaefer because you're talking. Got it? So eventually we could get up and go back to our 8th period. I think it was like 3 o'clock by this time. So we just had to go in 10 minutes because we get let out at 3:10. So, we could go then. The bell rang, so we got up and went to our homerooms to get our stuff. And then over the loudspeaker, Mr. Amlin, my principal, he said since the stuff happened and around like 2:30, let me just give you a little background information. So the junior high and the high schoolers, they get out an hour before the rest of us younger kids, like the intermediate and elementary kids. So they get out, I think, around 2:30. So they were just getting out when this stuff happened. So they had to get off their buses and go inside of the high school or junior high or whatever, so like they wouldn't fly away in the tornado on the bus. So they had to wait until 3 o'clock when the younger kids got out. So we had to wait at the buses to get to our school. So we were at school for another half hour or so, like just the busers. So I rode a bus. And my bus is late on a regular day. So I usually stay at school till like 3:30 till I get on the bus, and then I don't get home till around 4. So I didn't even get on the bus until around like maybe 3:50. So I didn't get home till late that day. So like you had to stay in your classroom until your bus got called. So obviously the walkers and the car riders could go because like they aren't messed up. The buses aren't late for them because they don't ride a bus. Lucky ducklings. So I had to wait. And my bus is late, period. And that day we had a sub, so she acted like she didn't know what she was doing. So, yeah. I get on the bus late. Yeah, that's pretty much the moral of the story. And this one girl, this is kind of irrelevant to the situation, but it's hilarious. This one girl, she's kind of like, I don't want to be mean, but she kind of doesn't really follow directions. And we asked her what bus she rode because she was staying a little late, and I didn't, like usually the late bus kids have to stay in the cafeteria until their bus comes. So me, Gabby, and this other kid, we were like, "What bus do you ride?" And she was like, "Oh, bus 25 or whatever it was." And we were like, well, we asked her before everybody left. We were like talking to her or whatever, and we were like, "What bus do you ride?" She was like, "Oh, 25 or whatever." And then she was like messing around. I think she got in trouble by the sub for chewing gum or something. And then they called a bunch of buses over the speaker. They were like, bus 9, 18, blah, 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 25. So we were like, "Bella, they called your bus." She was like, "Did they really?" And she wouldn't listen to us. She was too busy talking to other people. So like, Bella, they called your bus. You gotta go. So she didn't listen to us, and then Sub was getting mad at her. She was like, your bus was called. You gotta go get on your bus. So by the time I left, and my buses, like, again, the later buses, she was still there. So the next day I found out that she was still at school and her mom had to come pick her up because she missed her bus. Whatever. So that was my experience for the tornado drill in 6th and 1st grade. So yeah, that is it for this video. Again, I will link my last video down in the description. And yeah, my next back to school stories video is going to be about clubs and sports. So make sure you go check that out. And bye.